You ever meet someone who says all the right things, does all the right gestures, but something in your gut tells you something's off? Maybe he's charming, funny, and confident, but deep down you can't quite tell if his intentions are genuine or if he's just saying what you want to hear. Here's the truth. People can fake interest, they can fake effort, they can even fake love for a while, but consistency, attention, and respect always reveal what's real. Today, we're breaking down 3 ways to instantly expose a man's true intentions with you. These aren't mind games or tricks, they're clarity checks that protect your peace and save your time. Because when someone's words don't match their actions, that's not confusion, that's your answer. Pay attention to how he reacts when you set a boundary, because that reaction tells you everything about what his intentions truly are. Most people show their best version when they're getting what they want. But the real test begins the moment you say no. When you draw a line, it creates a moment of truth. A man with real interest, with genuine care and respect, won't see your boundary as a challenge to win or an obstacle to remove. He'll see it as a part of who you are, something that helps him understand how to treat you right. He'll take that no with maturity because he values the connection more than his own agenda. But a man with hidden motives or shallow interest will see that same boundary as rejection. He'll start to guilt trip you, twist your words, or question your intentions. He'll try to make you feel bad for having standards, as if your boundaries are the reason he can't stay. That's not love or care, that's manipulation dressed up as affection. Boundaries are filters, not walls. They don't push away the right person, they reveal the wrong one. When you say no and he tries to convince you otherwise, he's not interested in understanding you. He's interested in control. A man with pure intentions will respect your limits even when they don't benefit him, because his goal is to build trust, not to get his way. He knows that trust doesn't come from pressure, it comes from patience. When someone's interest fades the moment you express discomfort, that's not a loss, that's clarity. It's better to see someone's true face early than to build an entire connection based on who they pretended to be. Setting a boundary isn't about testing him, it's about protecting yourself. The right man won't need a test to prove his intentions because his actions will already align with respect. He'll stay steady when you speak your needs. He'll listen instead of argue. He'll understand that saying no doesn't mean rejection. It means you're being honest about what you're ready for. The wrong man will twist that honesty into guilt. He'll try to make you feel like you're too demanding, too difficult, or too guarded. That's how emotional manipulation starts, not with obvious disrespect, but with subtle guilt that makes you question if you're the problem for having boundaries. Pay attention to the energy shift after you assert yourself. Does he still show care? Does he still communicate with kindness? Or does he pull away and act cold because he didn't get what he wanted? A man with genuine intentions will stay present even when the answer isn't what he hoped for. He'll respect your timing because he's not chasing a moment, he's investing in something meaningful. A man with false intentions will show frustration, impatience, or indifference the moment you stop being convenient for him. That's the difference between interest and intention. One wants connection, the other wants control. So when you draw that line, don't be afraid of his reaction. That reaction is the truth unveiling itself, the moment when his real character steps forward and you no longer have to wonder who he really is because now you've seen what he does when he doesn't get what he wants. Notice how he treats you when he doesn't get what he wants, because that's when his true colors surface. It's easy for someone to act caring, charming, and attentive when everything is going smoothly and they're in control of the situation. But the real test of a man's intentions happens in moments of disappointment. When he doesn't get his way, when you don't respond how he expected, or when you say something that challenges his ego, that's when you see what kind of person you're actually dealing with. If his affection fades, if his tone changes, if his patience disappears, that's not someone who cares about you. That's someone who is using kindness as a strategy. Genuine people don't turn cold when they're told no. They stay consistent because their care isn't based on convenience. The difference between real interest and manipulation is how he behaves when there's no reward. A man who truly values you won't take offense when things don't go his way. He won't make you feel guilty for having opinions or needs of your own. Instead, he'll listen, adjust, and try to understand your perspective, because his goal isn't to win an argument or prove control. it's to maintain connection. But if his energy shifts into silence, irritation, or emotional distance every time he feels challenged, it means his interest was transactional. He was kind as long as things benefited him, but the moment that stopped, the mask slipped. Pay close attention to that pattern because consistency in character matters more than charm in conversation. When someone's interest is genuine, they don't punish you emotionally for not meeting their expectations. They don't withhold affection or attention as a way to manipulate your response. They don't use silence as a weapon to make you chase them or apologize for something you didn't do. Instead, they communicate. They express what they feel without making you feel small or guilty. Emotional maturity shows in how a man handles frustration, not in how he handles praise. Anyone can smile when things go their way, but it takes real intention to remain kind, patient, and respectful when they don't. You'll notice it in the small moments. Maybe you say you're tired and can't hang out, and suddenly his replies turn short or dismissive. Maybe you express a boundary and he jokes about you being difficult. Maybe you take time to respond and he acts cold or distant instead of understanding. All those little reactions are windows into his true mindset. Someone who truly cares doesn't see your boundaries as rejection. They see them as a reflection of your self-respect. But someone who's only interested in control will use every missed expectation as an excuse to withdraw and make you question yourself. A man with real intentions will stay grounded even in moments of disappointment because his connection to you isn't built on what you do for him, it's built on who you are. He doesn't need every situation to go his way to feel secure because his interest is anchored in respect, not outcome. Watch his consistency when things don't benefit him, because that's when you'll see the difference between effort and performance, between care and control, between genuine intention and hidden agenda. Watch how much effort he puts in when no one's watching, because that's where his real intentions quietly show themselves. Anyone can put on a good show in public, say the right words, and make gestures that look impressive when people are around. But genuine interest doesn't need an audience. What a man does in the background when there's no attention or validation involved, that's what defines whether his care is real or just an act. If he only reaches out when it's convenient, only compliments you when others are listening, or only shows affection when it benefits him, that's not consistency, that's performance. A man with true intentions shows up even when there's nothing in it for him. His effort doesn't depend on recognition, and his consistency doesn't rely on reward. He invests time, attention, and thought because it matters to him, not because he's trying to be seen as a good person. It's easy for someone to appear kind when everything is going their way, but character is revealed through daily effort, not grand gestures. Look at the details. Does he check in when you've had a hard day, or only when he needs something from you? Does he ask how you're feeling without expecting anything in return? Does he make time for you when it's inconvenient? Or does he disappear until it suits him again? Those are the questions that reveal what's real. Someone who truly cares will show effort through consistency, not convenience. They don't need to be reminded to show up because showing up is part of who they are. The ones pretending will always have excuses. Too busy, too distracted, too tired. But the truth is, effort is a reflection of priority, not schedule. When someone wants to, they find time. When they don't, they find reasons. What matters most is how his actions align with his words when there's no pressure. If he talks about caring but doesn't act like it when no one's looking, his words are just noise. Real intentions don't require constant validation. They show up quietly and consistently. You'll see it in how he remembers small details you shared in passing, how he checks on you just to make sure you're okay, or how he takes responsibility without needing to be asked. These small, unnoticed actions reveal the truth of someone's heart far more than any big moment ever could. The man who is genuine will keep his promises, not because it's impressive, but because it's his nature to be dependable. The world is full of people who do things for attention, but real connection is built with people who do things out of sincerity. A man who's performing will always need to be seen doing something good. A man who's genuine doesn't care if you notice every effort. He just does it because he means it. When you pay attention to consistency instead of charm, you start to see who truly values you versus who just values being admired by you. The difference is subtle but powerful. One puts effort into maintaining a facade, the other puts effort into building something real. And that effort, quiet and unforced, becomes the clearest reflection of what his intentions have been all along. Pay attention to how he listens when you talk, because that's one of the clearest signs of what his intentions truly are. Listening is more than just hearing words. It's about paying attention to what matters to you, remembering details, and showing genuine interest in understanding who you are beyond the surface. When a man is only pretending to care, his focus is temporary. He'll nod, smile, maybe respond with something charming, but his attention drifts the moment the conversation stops being about him. He'll forget what you said, or worse, he'll twist your words later to fit what he wants. But when a man's intentions are real, you'll notice the difference in how present he is. He listens without interrupting, he asks thoughtful questions, and he remembers the small things that most people overlook. Listening is one of the purest forms of respect, and respect is the foundation of every genuine connection. You can tell a lot about a person by the way they make you feel when you speak. Someone with good intentions makes you feel heard, not just tolerated. They don't rush your thoughts or make you feel like you're talking too much. They give space for your words to land. That's what emotional safety feels like, when you can speak freely without fear of being dismissed or judged. But when someone is only pretending to care, their body language tells the truth. They check their phone mid-conversation, they cut you off, or they turn the topic back to themselves. Their goal isn't to know you, it's to keep your attention. A man who truly listens isn't listening to reply, he's listening to connect. Real listening comes with effort. It means remembering what you said last week, noticing how your tone changes when something's bothering you, and being patient enough to hear your silence when words aren't enough. It's not about pretending to understand, but showing up to try. A man with sincere intentions doesn't make you feel small for having feelings or opinions. He values your perspective even when it's different from his own. That's how respect grows, not from agreement, but from understanding. When someone listens, they build trust without even trying, because you can sense that your voice matters to them. When a man's intentions aren't real, his listening will always be selective. He'll only pay attention when the topic benefits him or when he's trying to impress you. Once he feels like he's done enough to win you over, that focus fades. You'll notice him zone out during deeper conversations or show impatience when you talk about something meaningful. That inconsistency isn't harmless. It's a warning sign. Genuine listening is consistent, quiet, and attentive. It doesn't depend on mood or motive. The truth is, a man who really cares about you will show it not through grand gestures, but through moments of attention. He'll remember your favorite things without being told twice. He'll notice when something's off, even if you say you're fine. He'll recall a dream you mentioned weeks ago because he was actually paying attention. Those little details may seem small, but they're powerful. They show that his intention isn't just to talk to you, but to understand you. And understanding only happens when someone's listening not to respond, but to care. Not to win your attention, but to earn your trust. Not to fill silence, but to make you feel valued in it. Look at how he handles your growth, because that's where the truth about his intentions becomes undeniable. When you start improving yourself, gaining confidence, or reaching new levels in your life, not everyone will celebrate that. Some people will feel proud of you, and others will feel threatened by you. A man with real intentions will never make your success feel like a competition. He'll admire your strength, support your goals, and encourage your independence because he sees your growth as something that adds to the relationship, not something that takes from it. But a man with hidden motives will begin to change the moment you start to evolve. He'll downplay your progress, make small jokes about your ambitions, or try to remind you of who you used to be just to keep you in a version that felt easier for him to manage. Growth is a mirror that reflects how someone truly feels about you, and the ones who only loved you for your limitations will always resist your evolution. You can tell a lot about someone's intentions by how they react when you no longer need their validation. When you start to see your own worth, their behavior will either become more supportive or more distant. The wrong person will feel uncomfortable when you stop depending on their approval because control thrives in insecurity. They'll subtly try to make you question yourself, criticize your choices, or plant doubt in your mind to keep you from realizing how strong you actually are. The right person, on the other hand, will push you to keep going, even if it means you outgrow certain dynamics. They understand that love or genuine interest doesn't shrink when one person grows. It expands because both people are becoming better versions of themselves. Real intentions are revealed in how someone supports your independence. If a man gets defensive when you make your own decisions, if he acts cold when you're too focused on your goals, or if he accuses you of changing when you're simply evolving, that's not love. That's possession disguised as care. The man with good intentions doesn't feel the need to control your direction. He feels grateful to walk beside you. He's not intimidated by your progress because he's secure enough to know your light doesn't dim his. Growth doesn't scare him because he's not in the relationship to compete. He's in it to build. Sometimes the biggest test of someone's intentions comes not when you're struggling, but when you're winning. It's easy to be supportive when you're down, but it takes genuine care to remain supportive when you're rising. Watch his energy when you talk about your dreams, your accomplishments, your next steps. Does he listen with excitement or with quiet envy? Does he celebrate you or make you feel guilty for being ambitious? Those subtle reactions tell you everything. A man who truly values you wants to see you thrive. He doesn't just love the version of you that needs him. He loves the version that's growing beyond him. He doesn't pull you back to keep his comfort. He pushes you forward because he believes in your potential. The way he holds space for your growth is the purest reflection of what his heart really intends. And in that space, his true motives will always come to